Welcome to Season 2, Episode 21 of the Cohesive Home Podcast.
So some of you may have seen me post a few days ago on my personal feed about how my 5.5-year-old daughter has become very interested in the zero waste movement. And if you're already living a fairly simple life or striving to do so, we think that this might be a fun next challenge for you and your family.
But some of you may be wondering, what the heck is zero waste? And it basically means just creating little to no trash through like creative measures like composting, like your food scraps, and buying food in bulk instead of packaged, which can be a challenge. That's the word challenge.
And so we'll definitely get into all that. But Melissa, do you remember when you first heard of the concept zero waste? I think we probably both read the same book.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before about how it was the Zero Waste Home, and that was one of the first books that I picked up at the library when I was like, ooh, minimalism, what's this? And so I literally had like 20 books in my cart, and I'm like, okay, we're going to read all these. No, I didn't. But the one I think that stuck out most to me was Bea Johnson? Mm-hmm. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
Bea Johnson's book. And yeah.
Which is so shocking to me that, like someone who's just beginning that journey of like, hey, I should maybe get rid of some of my things and live a little bit more simply would make the leap to picking up her book. Or did you even have any idea what it was about?
I didn't. I really didn't.
Surprise.
And to be quite honest, when I saw it, I thought, what a novel concept. I thought, okay, I'm more than likely will never be that. But to see the concepts actually played out was really intriguing to me.
Yeah.
It was very intriguing.
Well, and so if you're not familiar with her book or, or zero waste in general, so Bea Johnson has become kind of the spokesperson for this whole movement to create less trash. And she is a superstar at it. I think their family produces a quart-sized jar of trash per year. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I could probably go pick up a quart-sized jar of trash out of my kids' rooms right now.
Right?
It's like, I honestly, I get that is doable because she does it, but it is like, that would be a full-time job.
Yeah.
Just to whittle down and be very on top of all of that all the time.
Conscious of everything. And she says, she insists that it's not difficult once you get started. And I think, there are definitely little ways that we can implement zero waste in our home and start with, kind of those baby steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I would give it, you started me thinking about this, and I'll be honest, it's hard. It's really, and when you said a challenge for, our listeners, I really do think it's a challenge. It's a good challenge though. It's a good challenge to be aware of what you're producing and what you're putting in back into the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and for those of you with kids listening, maybe you've seen the movie WALL-E. That came out.
I love that movie.
Like 8 years ago. But we just watched it a few weeks ago with our kids, and I didn't know how they would take it. But, my oldest daughter had a lot of questions. And, we went to the library and she checked out some books on garbage, totally out of her own, decision making. And so it's just become this ongoing conversation about how can we create less waste and to live a little bit more simply. And again, I think that all kind of ties back into the minimalism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. It really does. I think that so many times you you see maybe people who are like, oh, I'm minimalist now. And we're like, okay, so you got rid of crap. Great. Good for you. Whatever. What are you doing behind the scenes? It's like how much, like you got rid of stuff, but like how much stuff do you produce?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's not, I don't know. Yeah. I think it's a portion of minimalism that people fail to even look at.
Or
Think,
or maybe you're afraid to, because it's intimidating. And what it really, zero waste asks of you is to consider something before you even bring it into your home. Like you evaluate it like, okay, well, how much waste is this going to produce? Is it something that I'm going to just get rid of and throw in my trash? Or is it something I can keep long term?
There are some tips that you have to help people kind of that are listening to maybe start implementing this. I know you and I have talked about it a little bit, but I think we should probably go over some of those things to help everyone because it is doable in small portions. And we're by no means saying, hey guys, go out there and be Bae Johnson. Cause we all want to just have a cup full of trash at the end of the year, but it's something to just be aware of in your life. So,
well, Melissa, do you have any tips to share? Like what is something that you've started to do in your home?
Okay. So the main thing that we have cut out, which we did. Okay. I will preface, we have done this before, but it failed miserably because it just did. And I don't know why, but I had babies and it was bad, but we got rid of paper towels.
Yeah.
We would go through quite a few paper towels and, you don't really think about it while you're doing it, but that was the bulk of our trash. Like Brandon came in the other day and he said, we only had 2 bags of trash this week. And I was like, 2 bags? That's it? And these aren't big bags. I mean, these are like semi-small ones. And I was like, okay, that's good. Now, granted, we are recycling, but he said the bulk of those like paper towels weren't in there. So I went to Walmart and I got these really cool, man, I can put the link up, but it's these linen towels that they're not linen. They look linen, but they're cotton. I say linen. Yes, I have linen towels. And, but they kind of look linen-y. And, I got like 20 of them and we just have been washing them and they're white and they're nice and probably going to get stains on them, but whatever. So yeah.
Oh, no, I think that's awesome. And that's,
baby steps.
It is a baby step. That's a fairly easy one to do. You can also take old t-shirts and just chop those things up and use those as rags. You won't feel bad if they get stained. But yeah, definitely building up your rag collection and using those instead of paper towels is a really good place to start.
Yeah, we really didn't have anything extra to cut up or anything, so...
Look at you.
I mean, I'm sure we do. If I dug, I could find things. I'm not like... that makes me sound like, oh, I have no extra anything. But we had to, just done a little bit of a purge, so...
Yeah.
And honestly, and this is maybe just... I'll be completely honest with this. It's in my kitchen. I wanted something that... looks nice too.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So we have this basket and I have my towels and I put them in there and it makes me feel like, oh, it's pretty, but it's also doing something good. So yes, I did go out and buy something, sorry, but it's serving a purpose and it's being reused over and over and over again. So.
Well, and I think it's smart too that you have it out in the open so that you see it and you use it.
Oh, literally. I mean, we wash them every other day.
Yeah.
I mean, we go through them just like we did paper towels.
Yeah. So that's a great first step is to, dive into the whole world of reusables. So, reusable bags at the grocery store, having, water bottles that, you wash at home and that you can use when you go out in public. So you're not getting disposable plastic water bottles,
Yes.
using cloth napkins instead of paper napkins at your dinner table. And actually something I've started to do, I don't really get coffee out a whole lot, but I've started taking a reusable mug with me when I go to a coffee shop and, requesting that they put it in that. And it's totally not a big deal, but I feel good not using one of those paper cups.
Holiday cup.
I know. as pretty as they are.
Let's see how many landfills are filled with those things.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Are those recyclable?
They are lined with plastic. So, no, the paper's coated, so you cannot recycle them.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot, Starbucks. I'm calling you out, man. Seriously?
Yes.
That's lame.
But
Okay.
there are some, you might have a great local coffee shop that uses, biodegradable paper cups and lids, and those are good businesses to support.
Yeah, and those are usually the hipster places out there. They usually have this. This glass was made with banana peels ground up into something and I don't know. Aren't they like out of compost or something? So
I don't,
but,
probably.
So one thing that you are doing, I know that, and you talked about it on Instagram, is you're buying in bulk.
Yes, I'm trying to. I mean, I'm definitely not doing it perfect because I have this thing called a grocery budget. And so it's,
Yep.
yeah, so I need to go grocery shopping today. And my 5-year-old said, Mommy, I don't want a bunch of stuff covered in plastic, so we need to go somewhere else to grocery shop, meaning like we're not going to go to Aldi's because everything's wrapped in plastic. And I was like, sweetie, I am with you. I do not want the waste, but I also have to stay in my budget for the month. And so it is a balance. We have a great bulk store by us, so I do pick up a lot of things from there. We have a deli that I can get lunch meat from in a reusable glass container, and then I
love that deli.
Oh, girl. I know.
Yeah.
I wish you lived here.
She took me, Kate took me there when we visited over the summer. Oh my gosh, that place was just like a little piece of heaven. They had like bulk meats and bulk olive oil and bulk balsamic and olives
and wine.
All the wonderful things.
And did you know that they make sandwiches there?
Ah,
yeah, girl.
Yeah. Okay, so were you done with that thought? Because I had something to say about that.
I'm done.
Bulk.
Yes,
Okay.
go for it.
So my thought on that, and this is probably a completely different topic, but we're gluten-free. So it is very, very hard. I can't just go down to the bakery or go to a bakery within, anywhere and say, hey, I need, a loaf of this bread. Now, I know I can make my own. And that's one way we could do it. But if I'm being real, I don't have time to bake my own bread right now. So that is one area, and I know we've talked about it some, but buying in bulk gluten-free
it's hard.
Is hard. So that brings me to my recycling question. We talked a bit about this before we started recording, but I do recycle, and I feel good about it, right? But then you kind of like, you're like, oh, but by the way, things I am not aware of, but I will be totally honest. I'm being real honest in this podcast here. I just don't want to know it sometimes.
Yeah.
I want to have blissful ignorance. And I think that that's a lot of people. But okay, I think you should tell everybody.
No,
what is it?
I don't.
Why is recycling?
Girl, I'm not the expert on it, so I don't want to talk about things that I'm, I haven't written the book on. But I will say this. From what I have learned, from what I have read, plastics, they are downcycled. They are not fully recycled. It's not like glass. It can't be really reused. So at some point it is going to end up in a landfill or it will get shipped to another country. And so really, like you're using plastics, which are so impossible to avoid, but the burden is getting passed onto someone else and then eventually onto the environment. And that is all I'm going to say about it. So
yes, but I really think that that's important, Kate. I really do, because it brings an awareness to the zero waste.
Yeah.
It doesn't just say, oh, buy all you want in plastic, just recycle it.
Right.
That's recycling. Right. You're recycling. You're not being wasteful. And that's been my thought. I'll be honest. That's been my thought. So when you told me that, it brought kind of like, more of an awareness to don't bring the plastic even into your home. Right.
And I go through a lot of coconut oil. And I found that Aldi's, hello, Aldi's again, they have coconut oil for, it's fairly inexpensive and it's in glass.
Yeah.
So I'm not willing to give up coconut oil, but I feel like, okay, I buy it in glass and then I often just reuse those jars and lids in my home.
Yeah.
But they are recyclable.
I love glass. I absolutely love glass. And I will say that is something that, sorry, babe. I'll be using glass for a long time.
But I think she does. So, I mean, she does as well, and she says that she recycles. I'm pretty sure she tends to avoid the plastic. Really? Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't read that part of her book, obviously. Sorry. That she does use the glass. Okay, cool. Or she does recycle the glass.
Yes. Well, and something that I found was filling up our trash can was not paper towels, but food waste. And that was a big one.
Yes.
And a lot of it,
too.
I mean, we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, but it was like, banana peels and, the peelings from carrots or different things, old spinach that wilted and smelled nasty in the back of the fridge. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't eat that. I'm going to just dump it in the garbage. And so I always felt so bad about that. I'm like, this doesn't feel right to just put something natural into a plastic bag and then send it off to the landfill. But we've started composting, and I'm not an expert on it in any sort of way, but we built one off the side of our house, kind of buried in the ground.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is really great. And then we have a bowl in this is probably going to sound gross to some of you, but we have a bowl in our freezer, and then we put our food scraps in there, and then every couple of days we dump it in the compost.
Was that you? Was that you who told me to do the freezer thing when we lived in Oklahoma City together?
No, it definitely wasn't me.
I started doing that because, oh my gosh, we had compost in our first house that we bought. Not the one that we lived near you, but we had this compost, and I mean, I've got little babies walking around and crawling around, and the last thing I'm thinking about is this stinky pile of food sitting on my counter.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it started getting gross. And so, somebody had told me, put a bucket, even a bucket with a lid or something, in the freezer.
Right.
And it changed my world. So, that I really, really liked that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no smell, and it makes it so simple to just grab those bowls, and we go outside, dump it real quick. And I'm amazed at how much that has cut down on our garbage waste, just that one step. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait to compost. I know that we could get a bag, because I know some of you are like, maybe you're in an apartment or a rental or something. Brandon and I have actually talked about getting one of those composting bags. So you actually just have a bag. It's this giant bag.
Oh, really?
And I'm assuming that composts down at some point. I don't know why it wouldn't, but it's you move it in portable.
Huh.
So
very cool.
We had friends who had one, but we haven't done it yet. We need to, because I feel really wasteful as well whenever I'm throwing away a rotting piece of anything, or even just leftover food on your plate.
Yes.
Because how kids are, they don't eat everything half the time. So
and I think,
that.
I mean, as long as it's not meat or dairy, it can go in the compost. So like I've made, like quinoa and rice, and my kids don't finish their food. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to throw that in the garbage. And I've dumped that in the compost, and it doesn't seem to be a problem.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are some other ways?
Yeah.
That was a really bad segue.
It's okay. Something else, I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, but simply refusing handouts, like freebies that you get, everywhere that you go. And being more aware of like pieces of paper, if it's something you can save on your phone instead of bringing home a paper copy. I like goodie bags, and everything's wrapped in plastic, or junk mail is another big one. Getting your name off those lists, and there's ways. If you Google that online, there are ways to
really
stop the junk. Yeah, actually, I spent about 30 minutes a few weeks ago doing that, and significantly cutting down on the mail I'm receiving.
Cool.
Because it was starting to get old. I'm like, okay, like really, how many offers for this and that? Yeah. And it's just, it's wasteful.
It is. It is. I mean, I literally rip them up and put them in the recycling bin.
Yeah.
So yeah, because here where we're at, paper's a big one for us. Like, I know different towns are different with what they recycle, but the paper is a big deal here. So, and I know some of you are listening and are like, yeah, I homeschool. We have a plethora of paper that just, it's hard. You're a classroom, right? And yeah, that's something that we have here. So that is one thing. We try to reuse as much as we can, but we do recycle that paper. We have to.
Well, and also, I mean, if you have school-age children that are in a school, I mean, you get you get paper every single day from the school. So, you know, I mean, in that case, it's, you know, you're recycling, you're finding ways to maybe use the back of the paper, so you're getting a second use out of it. But yeah, there's no perfect system. We're just trying to find ways to do better.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we're kind of covering everything. And I hope that just like us, you know, we chose one thing to do this month, and that was we switched to some, you know, reusable paper towel type system. And that's one thing. That's great. So these are just all little options that you can do. So one thing I used to do and we stopped doing because my armpits got all weird. That's overshare, but we really did. I made my own deodorant for like 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been doing it a long time, long time. But it just started, I just wasn't doing well on it anymore. So I don't know if I need a different recipe or
try something new. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing like pit paste or something from Natural Grocers right now. But yeah, you can make your own stuff. That's a good one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many things that you can make at home that kind of help cut down on packaging. And like Melissa said, deodorant, or like I make my own tooth powder, you know, like toothpaste, but it's dry. I know some people make their own shampoo or they do no poo. I was never successful with that.
I never even tried it.
So bad.
I never even tried it. I know another one. A lot of people will make their own, like, what am I trying to say? Clothing soap, laundry detergent. There we go.
Hello.
Words escaping
Where's
my
the
head.
coffee?
That's right here. I'm going to drink more.
Chug, chug, chug.
Yeah. People will make their own laundry detergent. And
what's next on my list?
Is it?
Yeah,
okay, maybe
girl.
we should do that together.
Okay, let's
because
do it.
I'm serious. I want to do it because that stuff is expensive.
It is expensive. And really, I mean, I think when you make it yourself, the ingredients are so basic. I mean, I think it's like 3 ingredients, you know, and it goes so much farther. So if you have a good recipe, email it to us. Fill us in.
Yes, seriously. I mean, we got emails from a couple listeners after we asked them to email us, like the
Huga? Yes,
Huga?
the Living
The
Seasonally
Huga
podcast.
The Living Seasonally podcast. We're like, if you live in Scandinavian country, please email us. And we got 2 emails.
It was awesome.
So
thank you.
Shout out to you girls. Thank you. Made my day.
Yes.
With pictures, Dad.
It's awesome.
But yeah, so, I know another one, like foodstuffs. You did make your own granola.
I did. And we're not big granola eaters, so it was more like I just wanted to try it and see if I could do it. And I did it. And I don't know if I'm going to do it again, but there's, you know, when I'm feeling like it, I make yogurt. That's a really easy one. You can make your own bread, like Melissa said, you know, that's an option. So just like thinking outside the box. I mean, like physically thinking outside the cereal box or the, you know, whatever that you normally buy at the store.
Proverbial box.
The box, the container.
The box. Yeah, because I know a lot of you probably have like a Sprouts, or if you're in the States, you have a bulk-ish food store around you, a Whole Foods. So yeah, even just saying, instead of buying my, you know, flour from this section, I'm going to go over to the bulk section and do that this week. Let's try that.
Well, and I even found, you know, like when we lived in Oklahoma City, there was a local grocery store chain called Crest. and just your typical run-of-the-mill grocery store, but they had a bulk section. So
They
I think
do?
they absolutely do. And it was priced well. And so I think, sometimes you have to hunt. You have to look around. You have to find out what's really in your town and visit a lot of different stores. But I would guess that most people in their community have options. They might not have everything. They might not be able to do it all, but you have options. You just got to dig.
Yeah. And I think that that's one thing when you said a couple weeks ago or a month ago, you were like, yeah, I'm really getting into the zero waste thing. And I'm like, oh, great. Oh, great. I'm going to,
Sorry, Melissa. I'm going to drag you along with me.
Kate. I know. And I'm like, I'm very, very, very grateful. But at the same time, and I'm sure a lot of you are listening going, oh gosh, I have to work at this. This sucks, but slow steps, slow baby steps, just like any sort of thing that you're doing, whether it's a purge or just living your values in any way. It's always steps. It's always steps. So,
and by no means do we want you to feel guilty if you're not taking any of these steps yet. We just wanted to share some of the things that we're learning and encourage you to maybe try one of them.
Definitely. So thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you've enjoyed our Cohesive Home take on living zero waste. Send us an email and let us know if you are trying in any way to live zero waste. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and also sign up for updates on our website, cohesivehome.com. We'll see you next time.